for certain what I thought I knew. Far, far away, someone was weeping, but the world was sleeping. Any dream will do. I wore my coat with golden lining, bright colors shining, wonderful and new. And in the east, the dawn was breaking, as the world was waking. Any dream will do. A clash of drums, a flash of light, my golden clothes flew out of sight. The colors faded into darkness, I was left alone. The world and I, we are still waiting, still hesitating. Any dream will do. A crash of drums, a flash of light, my golden clothes flew out of sight. The colors faded into darkness, I was left alone. May I return to the beginning, the light is dimming, and the dream is true. The world and I, we are
tired not to seek the rest, to labor and to look for reward, save that knowing that I do your holy will. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Hi Jerry, hi Fergus. As you can see, we've all got together to say hello. The reason for this Kildare production is that this year is the 75th anniversary of Scouting. This is a very important year for Scouting, and as you can see, there is a special badge. We also thought, the boys where you live in Nigeria, I'd like to see how some of the boys in Ireland spend their spare time. Actually, we're just going real heavy on the old PRO. Anyhow, if you are homesick in Nigeria, I think this masterpiece will make you both quite contented and happy to stay, as I'm sure Fergus will remember on a very rarely Saturday. Well, that's all the talking for now, as we have to get on with this fantastic production. See you. Good luck, lads.
Now we will have an investiture.
On behalf of the troupe, I present to you Mark O'Reilly, Gary McGowan, Malcolm Cannon, Faye Dolan, Clinton O'Callaghan, and Robert Brophy. I have passed the investiture requirements and I will to become Catholic Boy Scouts of Ireland.
Are you ready to take the scout route?
Yes.
Obey the scout route.
Yes.
You are about to become members of the Great Brotherhood of Scouting, and are undertaking to obey the Scout law and promise. You are going to promise that with God's help, you will serve Jesus our Lord, His Church, and Mary His Mother. You are also promising to help your neighbour always, and to live the Scout law as perfectly as you can. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
May Almighty God bless you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
We now invite you to make the scout promise.
On my own, the grace of God, God High, Malcolm Cannon, Gary McGowan, Mark O'Reilly, Finn Dolan, Clinton Cannon, Robert Brophy. Promise to do my best, to love, honour, and serve Christ my King, to follow His Church, His blessed Mother, and help my neighbours all time, to make Scout law. Bronze, Paul O'Reilly, Gregory Byrne, Alan Buckley, Paul Daly, Gregory Stones, Kenneth Hyland, Gareth Kane, Nicholas Donlan, Christopher Gallagher, Stephen Gallagher. Silver, Leo Dolan, Raymond Murray, Micheál O'Hora, Evan Ivor, Michael Regan, Francis Buckley, Fergus Cosgrove, Alan Kiley, and Joe Gordon. Robert Whittaker, Roland Hatch, William Campbell, Paul Stallings, Thomas Madden, and Philip Cunningham. A few merit badges, one for Robert Whittaker for the Arts badge and Alan Kiley for home help. And Roland Hatch the Arts flag. We have a few strikes to go as well. Noel Boyd as assistant sixer, Philip Cunningham assistant sixer, Ron Hart sixer, that's all the badges on behalf of the Girl Scouts.
Badges. Let's go through now. Well, we have 2 merit badges to present, and then each scout might come up in turn and receive the 75th anniversary badge. So, first of all, to Alan Brady, a photographer merit badge. Very difficult badge to earn. Congratulations to them. And to Paul Cosgrove, a fisherman. Congratulations, Paul. Right, so if each scout in turn might come up from his patrol and receive the 75th anniversary badge. Those badges, incidentally, will be worn by Scouts all over the world this year to celebrate 75 years of Scouting. So even the Scouts out in Nigeria will have that badge on them.
And now we're going to have a game of Bulldog. Mark Riley, Nelson Cavan, and Robert Brokey. Please come forward. Right, lads. I want you all to get down to the end of the hall.
Cubs versus Scouts. So in order to make it fair, I want to fight small Scouts. Yeah, you're small, you're two. Yeah, that's the Scouts team. That's your base, the blue one, right?
Yes.
Now you can go back to your controls, your team. Now, the 5 biggest Cubs, William. Yeah. The feature on the left. Yeah. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. You. That's right. Now, the rest of you goes to the sides of the hall. And what you do is, you start at the end. Each team. The team leader comes up. He picks a match out of that with his team, and he brings it back down. But he doesn't. The next fella doesn't leave until his partner arrives back. Right? So if there were 2 teams at the end of the room, that's you're the red base on that side, you're the blue base on that side, and the rest of you in by the wall cheer for your team.
someone who keeps on talking when no one is listening. A teacher. Did you hear about the Kerryman washing his car? He broke his washing machine. What makes the Tower of Pisa lean? It doesn't eat. What did the dentist say to the golfer? You've got a hole in one.
And the next stage we have now, it'll be the tax collectors, and for that, Niall, Mark, and Philip.
Who could that be?
No, I don't have any.
Here, Muggsy, do the usual. Well done, you get extra pay for that.
And now after all that finance and everything, I think we should sit down and relax. So Raymond Cleese picked a lovely quiet song. It's called Bunch of Time, and this is Raymond learning to sing it.
Come on, you maidens young and fair. All you are blooming
shingle bravo? Do you know the shingle bravo? It goes like this. I'll do it first once and then you come in, okay? We start with this and it goes, bravo! Okay? So when I'm coming to you, start, okay?
My eyes are in my hand.
now we're going to relax for a little while again, and Mark O'Reilly is going to play the tin whistle. He wants everybody to join in, for he's a jolly good fellow. Here's Mark. Ready?
What did you do that for? You tripped me up with your stick, you know that? No, I don't, and I'm very sorry. Well, if you didn't do it, I don't know why you're sorry. Now tell us an old yarn, will you? Well, I don't know any, but here's the fact. Do you know King Henry VIII is only 4 foot high? Oh, but why did he call the high king, eh? I don't know. Listen. Well, do you know something? I was in the pub the other day and I met Jack the postman. Never! I did too. And he was asking the barman. He said, "Where does Jack Henry live?" And the barman said, "Go down the road, turn left, then Asher, forget about him, he's never there. He might be going off to the mart." So he said, "Where does Paddy Jack O'Donnell live?" Go down the road, turn left at the cow house, then turn right. Asher, forget about him, he's never there either. So he said, "Where does Paddy McGrath live?" He said, "Go down the road, turn left, and then you come to a river." Well, when you come to the river, you have to go across the river. But you'd want to mind yourself, he said, because there's crocodiles in the river. But he said, never mind about them buggers. They won't hurt you. They'll give you a nasty suck, all right. But anyhow, he said, when you swim across, I shall forget about him. His hut was burnt last night, and he's gone off to his nephew, I think it was. Oh, yeah, niece, I think. Yes, niece, aye, Maggie. And he said, "Well, what in the name of the divine Lord in heaven am I going to do with these 3 letters?" And, well, that barman was as stupid as Jack. He said, "If I were you, I'd post them." And you know what? He didn't even see the uniform on him. He's an old twister barman. What did the carpet say to the floor? I think he said, I forget. "I got you covered." Oh, sure, that's right. Hey, listen, have you another old yarn? Let's see now. Did you hear about the parrot? The parrot? No. Well, you see, there's this fella, and he's very stupid, and he wanted to know how politics are, and his cheeky parrot, you know what he says? "Stuff a watch down my neck and I'll take it." Well, I went into the pet shop the other day to get a parrot for my niece. And you know her, the little one. She's only about so high. And I went in and I said to myself, "Oh, there's a gorgeous parrot." So I said to the fella, "How much is that parrot?" He said, £5 and 60p. And I showed that, well, it's not too much. But then I got a bit curious and I said, "What is that string doing on his left foot?" And the fella in the pet shop said, "Pull that," and he says, "Hello." And he said, "What do you do with the string in his right foot?" And he said, "Pull that," and he says, "Goodbye." And I says to the parrot, "What will I do now if I pull the 2 strings?" And that parrot was as cheeky as anything. You know what he says? "What? I'll fall off the perch, you fool." Well, then what do cannibals eat on toast? What do cannibals eat on toast? I don't know. Baked beans? Baked beans, You're shocking, do you know that? What, are you going home now? Yeah. Why you haven't prepared? I don't know. The wife might have a little treat, you know. What are you having? Fish and sunken chips. Fish and sunken chips? What are you talking about? Fish and chips? You see, my wife, she's a rotten cook. And all the batter gets inside the chips. And you put them on the plate. One chip, neat little thing, about that size. And it goes right through the floor. And it's not worth it because you have to pay all the bills. That sure is shocking. But, well, listen, I better be going now because... Sure, Hark, listen. There's the wife calling. She's over there. She's at the shop. You hear her? Oh, yeah. The old hag. Oh, there's mine down there. Be seeing you now. Right, goodbye. Bye.
And I think we should go back to joke time again. So now we'll have Christopher Gallagher and Thomas Madden. They're presenting to mime a joke.
Never saw it in my head. Have you gone bored?
A famous dog once came to town. His Christian name was Pete. His pedigree was 2 yards long and his looks were hard to beat. As he trotted down the road, it was beautiful to see his work on every corner, his work on every tree. He watered every gateway, he never missed a post, for piddling was his masterpiece and piddling was his boast. The city dogs looked on and on with deep and jealous rage to see the simple country dog, the piddle of the age. They smelled him over one by one, they smelled him two by two. The noble Pete and high disdain stood still till they were true. They sniffed him over one by one, their praises for him ran high, and when one sniffed him underneath, Pete piddled in his eye. Then just to show these sissy dogs he didn't care a damn, Pete strolled into a grocery shop and piddled on some ham. He piddled on some onions, he piddled on the floor, and when the grocer kicked him out, he piddled on the door. Behind his back, the sissy dogs decided to hold a meeting, to hold a piddling carnival and have the stranger beaten. They showed him all the piddling posts in and around the town, and started out with many winks to wear the stranger down. But Pete was with them all the way with vigour and with vim. 1,000 piddles more or less were all the same to him. And on went noble Pete with hind legs kicking high, while most were lifting legs in bluff or piddling mighty dry. And on went noble Pete, watering every standhill, till each and every sissy dog was piddled to a standstill. Then Pete in exhibition gave in all the ways to piddle, like double dips and fancy flips, and now and then a dribble. And all the time the country dog did neither wink nor grin. Pete piddled bitterly out of town that he had piddled in. The city dog said, "So long, Pete, your piddling did defeat us." But no one had ever put to them wise that Pete had diabetes.
And now we've got butler and teacher, and it looks as if Raymond is butler, and the new school teacher here is Nag.
Butler, that boy beside you, his jacket, it's on fire.
I'm author. I put a match to it. One time a blazer.
Put it out then.
What'll I put him out with?
Water.
With what?
In a bucket of water.
Well, I've something to tell you. There's a hole in the bucket, dear teacher, dear teacher. There's a hole in the bucket, dear teacher, a hole.
Well, mend it, dear butler, dear butler, dear butler. Well, mend it, dear butler, mend it.
With what shall we fix it, dear teacher, dear teacher? With what shall we fix it, dear teacher? With what?
With straw, dear butler, dear butler, dear butler. With straw, dear butler, with straw.
But the straw is too long, dear teacher, dear teacher. The straw is too long, dear teacher, too long.
Well, cut it, dear butler, dear butler, dear butler. Well, cut it, dear butler, cut it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With what shall we cut it, dear teacher, dear teacher? With what shall I cut it, dear teacher, dear? With what?
With an axe, dear butler, with an axe. Dear butler, with an axe.
You mean a hatchet, sir?
Yes.
Well, the axe is too blunt, dear teacher, dear teacher. The axe is too blunt, dear teacher, too blunt.
Well, sharpen it, dear butler, dear butler. Well, sharpen it, dear butler, sharpen it!
With what shall I sharpen it, dear teacher, dear teacher? With what shall I sharpen it, dear teacher? With what?
With a stone, dear butler, dear butler. With a stone, dear butler, with a stone.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Well, the stone is too dry, dear teacher, dear teacher. The stone is too dry, dear teacher, too dry.
Well, wet it, dear butler, dear butler. Well, wet it, dear butler, Wet it.
Well, I have a cough, teacher. With what shall we wait, dear teacher, dear teacher? With what shall we wait, dear teacher? With what?
Oh God, there's no corporal punishment allowed in this school. With water, dear butler, dear butler, dear butler. Try water, dear butler, dear butler. Try water.
What you're thinking? Well, in what shall I fetch it, dear teacher, dear teacher? In what shall I fetch it, dear teacher? In what?
With a bucket, dear butler, dear butler, dear butler. With a bucket, dear butler, dear butler. With a bucket!
Well, you see, sir, this Robin trying to tell you. There's a hole in the bucket, dear teacher. There's a hole in the bucket, dear teacher. A hole where Nanny... What's my different version? Is there something wrong, teacher?
I'm going to ask you a question. And please get it right.
Yes, teacher.
If you are travelling in a fire brigade on the way to a fire, and the fire broke down, what will you do?
Fire brigade broke down. Well,
Well,
I'd get off the fire brigade and I'd make a bicycle.
Yeah.
And then I'd cycle onto the fire and keep the fire going until the firemen got there.
I'm used to a fire.
Well, now, Karen, for the same Smith just got about everything in this programme. Believe it or not, it's got a balancing act, and it's done by Alan Brady. Right.
Now, for this thing, I want a volunteer, please. Volunteer. Let's see. Oh, we better take a scout, I think, this time. Okay, great. You come up here. Now, look, nothing in it, okay? Now, okay? Now, face the camera. Now, I want you to put that down your trousers. Now, the idea of the game is now, you have to balance these on your head, right, like that, and hold it for 10, and try and get it in there. It's fairly difficult now. So, practice one. Okay. Very good. Now, you nearly got it in there. Now, I want you to count for 10 while you're holding it, okay? Now, I'm going to give you the 3 and let you hold them yourself and put them on your forehead yourself. All right, now. I'll leave you to it. I'll count 10. 1, 2, oh, you dropped it. Yeah. Start again. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go. Very good. Okay. Okay, you try your last goal now. Hold it for 10. Time. No.
And now we have after that. When everybody settles down, I think we'll wear control weapons. So now we're going to have again this fantastic new group of ours. I think we'll claim them as their skirt band. And it's Nurse and Co again with Putting On My Top Hat.
Right, for a brand new group. Just invincible. Just out of hospital. Hospitalized.
Now, a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm putting on my top hat. I'm tying up my bow tie. I'm setting out on a quest. I'm trying to look my best. Oh dear, sleeping on the job again. Tut tut. Stretcher!
We just remembered it's coffee break.
Oh yes, coffee break. Go on, give us stuff. Coffee break. Come on, give us stuff. Will you?
Coffee break?
Okay, what we got here?
Cookies, please.
Here we go. Here's the red line.
Back to the hospital, please.
Time we're drinking coffee here.
Got any fucking cookies?
No, the missus didn't cook them this
What we
time.
got here?
Raspberries, sandwiches, coffee, coke, biscuits, sandwiches, yeah. Oh, get rid of those scissors. We don't need those. I'm not having set.
Get rid of those sandwiches there.
That is a very nice stuff. Ah, yeah, these cookie books. No, we got no cookies. I just finished them. Ah, well, yeah. It's time to go now.
They're coming through.
artists and acting and everything. And to finish off, we've got Niall on the accordion, and he's going to play a melody of quite a few tunes, and then we'll hand over to Eamon and Betty, and they'll finish off the campfire. So it's up to Niall to play on now.
I'm going to ask you a question. You have to say, what can you play? Okay? You have to sing that to me. What can you play? What can you play? Okay. I'm the music man, I come from down your way, and I can play.
What can you play?
I can play the piano. Pia, pia, piano. Come on, everybody together. Pia, pia, piano, piano, piano. Pia, pia, piano, pia, piano. I'm the music man, I come from down your way, and I can play.
What can you play?
I can play the guitar. Guitar, 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 guitar. Guitar, guitar, guitar. Pia, pia, piano, piano, piano. Pia, pia, piano, pia, piano. I'm the music man, I come from down your way, and I can play.
What can you play?
I can play the piccolo. Piccolo, 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 piccolo. Gia, gia, guitar, guitar, guitar. Gia, gia, guitar, gia, guitar. Pia, pia, piano, piano, piano. Pia, pia, piano, pia, piano. Thank you. We're coming towards the end of the campfire, and normally at the end of a campfire we have something rather quieter, you know? Something like, now you can see we usually have something rather quieter. So what we're going to have now is, I don't know if you know, we have campfires here. Do you know that? We have campfires here. It's the song that scouts from many parts of the world sing when they're coming towards the end of the campfire. It reminds them of the times when they've been on camps and the fun they've had. So just to be sure that in case you don't know the words, I'll sing a verse first, or I'll sing a line, and you come back with the line to me, okay? So it goes like this. We have campfires here, we have campfires here, by the deep blue sea, and our campfire songs, echo o'er the hill, as the sun goes down, everything is still, but the slender tree, on our lonesome isle, friends that we hold dear, in the north and south, can be seen so clear, in the golden glow. We have campfires here, by the deep blue sea, and our campfire songs echo o'er the hill. Very good, guys. Now, there's another song that scouts all over the world sing together as well. And as well as singing songs, the same songs all over the world, do you know that every scout in the world wears that badge? Even the scouts in Nigeria, the scouts in America, the scouts in Ireland, every scout, and every girl guide as well, throughout the world wear that scout badge. It links them all together and reminds them that they're all started by one person. And, yeah, who started them? But somebody must have put it in Baby Powell's mind, you know, really. So, scouts, when they get together like this, like to sing a song to God, thanking Him for putting it into Baby Powell's mind. And the song that we usually sing is a sort of an African song, Kumbaya. So we'll see if we can sing that together, okay? Kumbaya. Kumbaya. I'd like to see the Scouts for once, all standing hand in hand, and hear them echo through the din of peace throughout the land. It's the song we sing. Scouting is what the world wants today. It's the real thing. There you are. We've now come to the end of our campfire, and we're going to finish off with Vespers, especially that, and then we'll sort of say a prayer. Okay? Dear Jesus, we've come to the end of another good campfire. We thank you for all the fun and all we've learned through scouting. We remember all the Cubs, Scouts and leaders who have been members of the Kildare. Especially today, we think of Fergus, Jerry and Kevin, who were leaders with this unit and are now spreading your message. We pray that God will strengthen them in their work and bless all their efforts. The followers of Jesus asked him to teach them how to pray, and so he taught them this prayer, which we'll all say together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Alert. Caps on. Distance.
Right.
You're not meant to hear it.
Don't look at me. Look at this, though. That's your response.
Hello, Jerry and Fergus. Fergus and Jerry, you are more than welcome back to SMA House, Maynooth. You can see it here on the background behind me. I thought it was a warm day. It is February 13, day before St. Valentine, all that means to you. There are no extra fans around, but some of the lads are here, particularly today. We're looking forward to giving you a brief, quick look around the house, maybe a crack or two, some jokes, some songs. I want to say a quick thank you to the people concerned, particularly here. I'm looking at a camera and a man with sound effects. Those concerned with the making of this movie, particularly perhaps Mrs. Brenda McGowan. So,
Hello, Jerry. Hello, Fergus. This is, as you know, Kevin O'Gorman from SMA House. And you know the house very well, but there are others who are going to be watching this who would like to see SMA House, the place where you spent the 6.5 years of your training before you went to Nigeria. So I'm going to give you a guided tour as we walk through the house. And this is the main entrance, and there's not very much on it. And we're going down straight through the corridor, past the student blocks. This is block number 2 on my right here, and on the left is the entrance to the church. We pass there the signs of our work in Nigeria, the various tabernacle covers, which are signs here of the house and of our work and where you work. We go now past another collection of items from Nigeria which have been collected over the years and are a sign of our contact with you here in the house, of our work with you, of our memories. And on the walls you can see some signs of Nigerian culture, mostly from the south of Nigeria, I think, rather than from your area in the north. On the side as we pass here, we can see through the windows the garden and the 2 blocks 2 and 1, where the students live. They are the main student quarters. So we are now coming very close to the notice board, where the main items of life in this house are gathered and assembled, and I'm sure you can remember on many occasions various things that have been put up here. The fellas who are out for lunch and for tea, the soccer team that's to play tomorrow, the list of guys who have to keep the place tidy, the liturgy groups. Jerry, you can remember that because you were a student liturgist here, and particularly the applications for further guys to go out and join you on the missions. I'm sure that you've already travelled by boat. So we now come to just at the entrance to block 1, and we turn up the main corridor, which gives us a shot straight ahead. As we turn the corner, we'll get a straight shot of the staff block, where the members of staff in the house reside. And at this stage we're going to turn left, turn to my right, and turn into the communal area, which is known as the fireplace, where we used to have gaudiamus and different pieces of crack that we had over the years. And later on, I hope, on this film, we will have a couple of songs, a bit of laughter, and a bit of a dance even. So at this, we will turn and go into the refectory and see the place where we have spent so much of our time, morning, noon and evening, where we spend our time eating and having crack for ourselves.
So, with the doors open, this is the refectory here. And it's, we've just specially polished it this morning for the job, and it's the place where we receive all our meals. You might especially remember with affection the rubber plant which belonged to Joe O'Keefe. As you can see, it's blooming in the springtime. There are plenty of leaves here, and they're going to blossom further. It's growing very tall, so you'll remember Joe and his rubber plant. And this is the refectory, and we'll get a shot of it as we move around this side and go out through the other door above. So there's not very much to see in it, and we will turn now and go right through it and through the door on the far side, where we'll come out again around the fireside area. We've just left the refectory, the dining room, and we're now moving up the main corridor at the side of the church. And here we have the crucifix, which is carved from, which is a Nigerian carving, and is very beautiful and symbolic of the work and of the places where we work and where you are now. Particularly, I would say it's from a lot of wood carving which is carried on in your area. So we'll go up by the side door, which is the door which we enter, and we'll get a shot of the house as we look outside it. Here on my right, there's the Auxilia Hostel and St. Catherine's and the other hostels around. And you can see in the distance the spire of Maynooth, which is the main chapel, the gun chapel. And we will come up and turn as we go up again up the main corridor. We will take one look at the sacristy door. We'll go in the sacristy and show it for those who might not know it, who might not be aware of it. And we'll go through the door here inside. And this is the sacristy, and we will go right through it and come up on the other side. Back out. We have just left the sacristy now and had a look at the vestments, the special place where they're kept, and we're going to take a look at the church. And the distinctive characteristic of our church here, as the two of you particularly remember, is its coldness on winter and spring mornings, as the students rise at 7 o'clock, or at least are supposed to. The distinctive liturgical feature in this church is its African design and African orientation, particularly the stations on the cross, which we might get a shot of, the sequence of them. They were hand carvings from Nigeria. The openness, the high roof, which is here, which is a distinctive feature of it, and admits during the day a lot of light, particularly with the open skyscraper effect almost above. The cross, which is lit up here by night, is very beautiful, with some lovely colouring on it. And it represents, I think, very much again the orientation of our life here, which is towards missions in Africa. And we will just go up onto as we move up onto the sanctuary, we see the open-sided quality of the church, the open-sided nature of it. The ambo and the tabernacle here on my right hand, which are made by the same man who made the cross. So the different liturgical arts in it do melt together. And what is very distinctive about the church is the windows at the back, which open onto a garden, and in it we can see the changing seasons. We're now in springtime, which add a lot to our understanding of the liturgy and of prayer. We have just left the church now and are going down by the back wall of it, by the cloister, as it were, around it. And on my right here we have the side altars, which are used mainly in summertime for small numbers of priests who celebrate Mass. And I want to draw your special attention to something on my left, which is the photograph of yourselves which was just put up here very recently. You're the last class of ordination, the two of you. And, well, this year we hope that there will be another one added just above it, which will have Tom Welch, Jerry Dempsey, Brendan Gillen, and Eamon Finnegan, who are all destined for Nigeria, with the exception of Brendan, who is going to Zambia, as I'm sure you know. And they are the class before you. Majority of them are in Nigeria. I'm sure you've met them outside, as you've met the lads here like Faulkner and Tom Casey and Kevin McGarry and Kieran Moorhan, who are there as well. So there's plenty of room for further additions to the wall, and we'll hopefully be adding to them in a short period of time. So we just look at the other ordination classes. There's one blank on the wall which you might wonder about. That's the class of Goldie and Jarrett Walsh and Stocky. And the reason why that is missing is that the photograph of Billy Sheridan was not included. So it was sent back to the photographers to be remedied. And hopefully by the time Billy gets home in June, it will be okay and we'll have his photograph on the wall with the rest of the lads. So we just see the other classes who have been ordained here in Maynooth since we came to Drummondine. And that was the first year, 1973 here, with Tommy Wade and Jerry Thompson. And they are on the back wall of the church down along, because on the other side, as we'll see in a moment, we have the ordination photographs all the time dating back to Drummondine. And here we are looking into the church, and we get a face-on view of it, the best face-on view that we can get, with the cross and the wooden beams and the tabernacle and the sanctuary light. So it's the best full-on view that we can get of the church, with the garden behind it. And Fergus in particular, you might like to notice the organ here, which for a while wasn't played on, but John Denver has now decided to take up where you left off, and he plays regularly at Tuesday, Friday and the Sunday Mass here. So you'll be happy that the stool is no longer vacant. So we'll go straight down now and almost meet where we started off from, and we get one view here of the other classes, the ordination classes of Drummondine, all the ordination photographs which are taken here. We needn't go down to them and see them all, but we can see that you are the last class in continuity with a whole sequence of men going back to the first ordination class in 1926. And with this we go down the side where the two of you would have walked many times on your way either to the oratory or to the television room or the library, hopefully, where you might have gathered a few theology books and done a few essays, done a bit of study. So this is the side of the house which is, I suppose, the least frequented apart from night time. And we're going to turn right and go up into the assembly hall, which is above here, and we can see all the light that is in it as we get an opening shot going into it. So I'm just going up the stairs in there now, and we'll get one shot of it from inside, a full view of it. So we just go up the stairs and get one view of it, where we had many meetings over the years. You might particularly remember the 4 days that we spent here in 1979, the famous 4-day meeting, which was, because of our numbers, which was conducted in this hall. So that's it, and you can still see the table tennis table, which is faithfully used by many. Here we are inside in the what used to be the oratory. I'm sure you remember it as, where we had many nights of prayer and exposition, but which is now turned into the community room or the television. And you can see the new object of veneration in SMA House, which is a colour television, where we enjoy the 5 channels, and so far there hasn't been any major row over who's going to watch what. But BBC One, as I'm sure you can imagine, especially for the late night movies, is a particular fan of people like Mickey Ryan and Eamon Neeson, and of course the inimitable die-in of television viewing in this house, Mr. John Gerard Kilcoyne, who spends many a late night down here watching the offerings of. Of course, it's now safe to have television, the BBC channels in this house, because Tom Welsh is in England, and there's no fear it'll explode any night in our faces. So we just go down the stairs here by the towards what used to be the television room, and which in a straight swap became the new oratory. I don't know, did either of you see it before it was fully operational? It's not fully furnished yet, but we'll get a look at it, and particularly the new tabernacle. So I'm just going through the door, and I'll move to the side for you to get a full view of it from one side to the other. So it's very simple, and I think it has pleased most people, and I can proudly say that it is being widely used by the people here. So as we approach, as we go close to it, we can see that it's very simple, as I said, and that it makes a welcome change, I think, from what used to be the television room. Here we are now in the underground library, and we're going to see a few of the erstwhile students of SMA House doing a bit of work. And on my left we see John Denver from County Down, studiously looking through the filing cards. It must be essay time, and time must be running out. I see that he's looking at some dangerously radical stuff. And Eamon Neeson on my left has just woken up, reading some strange tome in probably canon law. He's a lad with a bright future ahead of him. You know him very well. And we turn around the corner again and we see one of the new boys to the house, which is Donald Toll, himself a student for many years, and he's now come to study the serious stuff. And I think somewhere down here among all the books, the present occupant of the librarian's chair is lurking, a man known to both of you very well from the same beautiful city, and that of course is Michael Ryan. And I've just found him here now, and there he is there, active in his job and smiling as ever. I'll just ask him how the work is going. Is everything in order? Are you happy with everything, Mr. Librarian?
I'm thrilled at this stage, Kevin. Thanks very much.
Okay, that's Mickey. So we'll just take one last look at the library as we go around and look at the current periodical section, which is an area of attraction to many fellows. And as you can see, we're having a bit of trouble with the floor here. It's come up in the recent bad weather. We're still pumping out a lot of water all the time, but I'm sure that John G and Mark and Co will get together to put it together. So I think that is going to conclude really our tour of the house. I've left out block 3 and we didn't do the staff block, but I think that we have got the main items for you. Here we are again, and we're going to take a shot of the new library, which is just down below me on the side of the bridge, and we can see the work that is already in construction. They have put in some pile drivers in there already, and we can see all the equipment, and they are going to divert the stream from here over by the side of the infirmary wall, which is the building directly in front of us, and we might be able to see the new trench that they have made for it. And with the work going on in the library, we can also get a sweep of the grounds of the college, the grounds at the back, the main building ahead of us, the infirmary, and lying behind it, a better view of the gun chapel, the main chapel here in Maynooth in St. Patrick's College. And we can just about probably be able to make out the clock tower on the face of it above. And we can see we can see the thing from it. So just on my right we can see the bits and pieces of the work that is in construction and the mighty task that is going to be here. So by the time the two of you return from Nigeria after your first 2 years there, you should be able to see a lot of the construction work completed, and at least the outlines or the bare bones of the new library in construction. And here we are now on the main part of the bridge, looking out over the main Dublin-Galway road, and we can see some of the weekend traffic as it heads towards the west. And looking above to the corner, we can see the Student Union building with the marquee which is in place for Rag Week, which starts next week. And there will be some music and noise there for the week. And the main building over ahead of us is the arts block, the new arts block. And as we sweep around now, we'll see the various buildings on the new campus, the various hostels. Our own building is the one, as you can see, with the pyramid shape roof over with the glass dome on top of it as it stands at the back of them. And you can see the various convents and the Salesian house. And we're going to sweep around. Through the trees we can see some of the Salesian footballers out practicing, probably for Divine Cup or whatever. And we complete the sweep of the view here from the bridge by seeing in the distance below. We've come back inside again, and we are here in the famous place where we had many a night's entertainment. We call them in the house Gaudiamus, which means